again, we are working with Vasanas from the Sutra, Yoga Sutra 4.11. Throughout the practice, I'm going to invite you to pause. There's going to be a lot of options for choice in the practice today. And as you contemplate that choice and you're inviting the choice in, to ask yourself, what's the heart's longing here? To pause, to not go immediately into a conditioned response to an automatic pilot, but to ask, what is it that is really necessary right now? What does the body, the mind, the spirit need? Okay. So I'd like us to start standing, please. And first, just a cleansing practice called Hridauti. Hridauti is a purifying practice, a Shat Kriya, intended to lift the clouds, the smoke, the fog from the heart, whatever's gathered over the heart space. Doing it standing here, I like to just rest my hands above the navel near the solar plexus region. Feet comfortably apart, knees slightly bent. Weight towards the front of the heel. The front of the heel, the back of the arch. Typically, this practice is done with the eyes open, but you can do it with eyes closed if that agrees with you more. And it's an inhale and exhale out the mouth, like a dog panting. So you were sticking the tongue out and not hyperventilating, but a moderate pace, like a dog panting. The abdomen will move slightly, but we really want more of the breath we want to feel something in the heart region, all right? And you'll continue, the mouth will dry, the tongue will dry, and you want to continue until the edges and the bottom, the space under the tongue comes fluid again, that water or salivation comes back into that space, all right? So we'll all be doing this at different times, okay? So just continue through the dryness until the mouth waters again. And again, that's most likely to be around the edges or underneath the tongue. Basically, if you're going to start to drool, the salivations come back, salivation has returned, and you have completed the practice. Once that's done, we can come to the front of our mats, finding mountain pose, Tadasana. And we'll begin with sun salutations, or actually salutations of any kind. So it could be moon salutation, it could be a sun salutation. Some of you know a lot of different variations of these. You will select one. And here's the first invitation to choice. So pause and ask for the heart's longing. What's necessary right now? Which sun salutation or which moon salutation is calling forth from the heart space? And you'll do 3 of those. I'll do just the basic sun salutation A for those of you that want a little bit more guidance. And I'll do it silently, so you can just follow along with the visual, right? But 3 total on your own. And as you continue, letting go of any expectation, not attaching to whatever your experience is, whatever has going on. And then offering whatever arises, the fruits of your practice, to something beyond yourself. It could be as simple when something arises on Om Swaha, is that offering mantra we've used before. Or just, I offer this, I give this, not mine to keep. If you've already completed 3, feel free to do another one. Again, if that is your heart's longing. And once you're complete, you'll just wait in mountain pose and notice what's happening. Finding ourselves back in mountain pose once we get there. Notice the sensations. What did it feel like to operate from your heart's longing? Did you attach to anything as you went through that practice? Can you offer it now? Can you let it go now? And then let's step back with the left foot. Railroad tracking the feet, bending the right knee into warrior 1, just to get us started. And then open the hips. And the back foot slightly into a side pose of sorts. So here's your options. Warrior 2, side angle pose, or triangle pose. And again, give yourself a moment to just pause here, maybe even resting the hands on the heart. Trying to really connect to the heart's longing. What's necessary right now? Side angle pose, warrior 2, or triangle pose. And finding your most authentic expression of that asana. Letting go of expectations, not attaching to whatever arises, and offering the fruits. Om Swaha. Notice what messages arise, what impressions arise, if there's any beliefs that arise in this pose, sensations that are arising that may unveil a belief, like a vikalpa. One more breath. And then turn onto the ball of that left foot, squaring the hips towards the front of the mat, bringing the arms overhead in a high crescent lunge or a warrior one with the heel off the ground. Just notice the effects of the previous asana, and then offer the fruits. Om Swaha. We're working our way into a standing balance here. And so your options from this orientation in the body are warrior 3, which my wall's in the way, so I'm not going to demonstrate very well. Yeah. And then we have eagle pose, all right? Or we have tree pose. Good. So taking a moment here in your high lunge, again, maybe resting the hands on the heart space, asking for the heart's longing, what's necessary right now? Warrior 3, eagle pose, or tree pose. And then invite that into the body. Notice how working from this place of the heart's longing, the effect that that has on the practice. One more breath. And then with an exhale, you'll step back to plank. Lower down to the floor. Take an upward facing dog or a cobra on the inhale. Exhale to downward facing dog. And then step the left foot forward. Railroad tracking the feet. Rolling up from the belly button. Open the hips to the right side of the mat. And again, we'll do the pose that you did on the other side just for symmetry. So if you did warrior 2 on the first side, do it here. If you did side angle pose on the first side, do that here. Or if you did triangle pose on the first side, do it again here. Inviting the mind to be where the body is through the scent, the felt experience, our sensations. Not attaching to whatever arises and offering the fruits. One more breath. And again, rotate on the ball of that right foot, squaring the hips towards the front edge of the mat, bringing the hands back to the heart. In the warrior one variation or high lunge variation. Just pausing. And knowing that, again, that balance, that standing balance comes next. So again, if you did warrior 3 the first time, you'll do that again. If you did eagle the first time, you'll do that again. And if you did tree the first time, you'll do that again. So as the body is ready, you can find your pose. Offering the fruits, Om Swaha. One more breath. And on an exhale, we go back to down or to plank in the floor. Inhale to cobra or up dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. Finding child's pose on the exhale. So in your child's pose there, just noticing what's happening. What might be different? I mean, those were just a few poses. What might be different this time for you with this practice, with working with heart's longing? And the next invitation to choice is to stay here in child's pose, if that's what's necessary for the mind body right now. Or you can move into headstand prep or crow pose. So the headstand prep again will be the hands right in front of the knees, making the base of a triangle. The top of the head, making the point of the triangle so that you can see the elbows at that 90-degree angle. Tucking the toes, lifting the knees, and placing the knees on the elbows. Maybe moving the legs up towards the ceiling, maybe not. Depends on where you are in your practice and what the heart longs for today. If you're wanting to, the heart's longing, not you, not the ego, but if the heart's longing for crow pose, you can come into a slow squat from your child's pose, bringing the armpits down and inside the knees, resting the knees on the forearms, and rolling onto the hands placed on the floor, and inviting the toes to lift off the floor. So wherever you're at, again, looking for heart's longing here, not the ego. What's necessary for the body-mind today, in this moment right now. Letting go of expectations of practice, offering the fruits, and when it's complete, returning to child's pose. The next option is a back bend, and there's lots of options here. So from your child's pose, you could come onto the belly and hold a cobra or a sphinx pose, or even an upward facing dog. There's also bow pose. If you're wanting a belly up back bend, from your child's pose, you could roll onto the back and do a bridge pose or a fish pose, or maybe even an upward facing bow pose. Again, working with your heart's desire, your heart's longing. Selecting your back bend of choice, belly down or belly up. Whatever's necessary today. Letting go of expectation and offering the fruits. Om Swaha. And when that's complete, if you're belly down, just come down to the belly. And if you're belly up, come onto the back. From the back bend, we take a twist. And again, there are options. If you are on your back, if you're supine right now, I'd like you to stay supine. But if you're belly down, you can come up to sit, either in hero pose on the heels, or just an easy pose with a simple cross at the ankles. And you can do your twist from here. If you are belly up, you'll bring the feet to the floor with the knees bent. Maybe even the knees in towards the chest if you want a deeper twist. Oh, and take your twist from there. Inviting yourself to move from the heart's longing and then on an exhale, coming back to the center, pausing there in the middle, and on another exhale, taking the twist to the other side. Paying attention again within the pose, staying in the body. Holding the integrity of the pose to protect the spine. Being aware of the sensations that arise and letting them go, allowing them to return to where they came from. And then offering the fruits of the practice. Just a couple more breaths. And with an exhale, returning to center. If you are supine on the back, let the feet rest again on the floor with the knees bent. Taking a moment to let that settle in and register in the level of the mind and body. And to bring it all together, we do a forward fold. So if you're still upright, your options are Baddha Konasana. So maybe more of a variation of it. So the knees bent with the feet together, but more in a diamond shape than a triangle shape. And you can lengthen and fold over that hip flexor, or that hip crease rather. Or you can take the legs together out in front in Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. Again, lifting up and over that hip crease into your fold. If you are supine, the options would be Happy Baby with the knees wide, the hands at the feet, the ankles or the shins, grounding through that lumbar spine, or just simply knees to chest in a reverse child's pose, Apanasana. So again, asking for heart's longing, what's necessary right now. And then taking your time to find your most authentic expression of the pose. To do so as effortlessly as possible. Watching what arises, not attaching and letting it fall to where it came from. And offering the fruits, Om Swaha. If you are still upright, with an exhale, you'll come out of the fold. Take an inhale there. And on an exhale, roll down the spine onto the back. If you are supine already, you'll just stretch the legs out in front. And one final thing before we rest in Shavasana. Let's interlace our fingers, take the hands behind the head. Bring the elbows towards one another and then towards the chest. Don't pull on it too hard. It's really just there to hold the head up. All right? Taking the feet together. And one round of breath of fire here. So that's the inhale and exhale out the nose. The exhale is forceful, and you have a pulling action inwards and upwards with the stomach. So I'll say 1 for the inhale and 2 for the exhale. We'll begin here. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Last 1, 2. Allow the head to be guided down to the floor. Removing the hands, bringing them to your sides, letting the feet open like a book. Allowing the bones to settle into the floor for Shavasana. Again, I'll be guiding this Shavasana. You are welcome, though, to tune me out if the guidance doesn't agree with you. Again, what binds us to our vasanas, our conditioned patterns, are vikalpas. These are unskillful beliefs that drive a wedge between us and our true self, our highest purpose. So what might be, as you hear that definition, vikalpa, this unskillful belief that drives a wedge between you and your highest self, your highest purpose, your heart's longing, it's likely that something has come to mind. Something that you've told yourself over your lifetime, or maybe has been also told to you that you've believed, that you've owned. And it's unlikely to even be true. If nothing's coming to mind, you still sit in the question, what is my vikalpa? Rather than trying to answer this with the head, I invite us to listen to the body for the answer. So whether words have come to mind or not, have arisen or not in the form of a vikalpa, there's something wrong with me. I'm not worthy. Rather than the words, let's work with the sensation that arises in the body because of the vikalpa, as a way to communicate to us about the vikalpa. You might want to consider pain that has presented in the body that seem to have really no, like, unknown source from it. It's pain that has no source, or or a place where pain has showed up regularly in a pattern. Being that you're safe right now in this moment, the invitation is to allow that discomfort to arise, to notice it. Notice where it arises. Notice its texture, its shape, its qualities. Allowing it to be there just as it is, because yes, this too belongs. We don't have to attach to it. It's just a sensation. Holding that sensation with great compassion and care, not to change it, but to understand it, to love it. You notice what happens to the sensation as you do this. And then ask what it needs. Just be open without expectation to anything that might arise. You might unearth a sankalpa, a skillful belief that dissolves this vikalpa and drives you towards your heart's longing, your highest self. Don't force it. Whatever happens is perfect. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. When offering any fruits to this practice, Om Swaha, inviting movement back into the body, small movements, making them bigger as you go, until you eventually find yourself in a seated, upright orientation for our closing meditation practice. So whether you Whether a sankalpa arose or not out of that practice doesn't matter. Whether you unearthed a vikalpa or not in that practice doesn't matter. But we can all work with a positive affirmation for ourselves. So what is it that you most need right now that you can give to yourself? Maybe it's knowing that you're already whole and complete, that you are worthy of love. Using it as an I statement. I am already good, whole, and complete. I am worthy of love. Holding that intention in your heart space. And let's perform the Surabhi Mudra, that wish-fulfilling mudra, or Sankalpa mudra. So you would hold that affirmation between the palms in front of the chest. The Surabhi mudra is that finger gymnastics. So the ring finger on the right hand touches the pinky tip on the left hand, and vice versa. And then the middle finger on the right hand touches the index tip on the left hand, and vice versa, so they cross over. Palms apart, thumbs up, comfortably in front of the body. Holding the intention of that affirmation or sankalpa in the mind and the heart. And we'll close with 20 rounds of the Ganesh mantra, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, to invite our own inner strength and wisdom to remove our own obstacles, our own vikalpas, our own vasanas that are in the way of our realization of self. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, 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 Ganapataye Namaha Om Gam 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 Ganapataye Namaha. Let's bring the hands together in Anjali Mudra. We'll close the practice with an Om on the exhale. Inhale. May the sun shine upon you, Allah surround you, the pure light within you guide you on your way. Om Swaha.